the incredible Victoria Falls.
If we're not careful, we're going to lose this site entirely.
One of the natural wonders of the world is feeling the strain.
We want to pass on Africa without the mighty Vic Falls. Is that what we want?
Extreme drought and higher temperatures are taking its toll on humans and animals and pitting them against each other in the fight for survival as the climates change. The mighty Zambezi River is the fourth largest in Africa. But when we visited, drought had reduced it in places to its lowest in half a century, creating islands where once there were none, and threatening millions of livelihoods reliant on this 1,700-mile water source.
Those are hippos in front there. The hippos. Look at that one. Yeah, some past years the hippo, they were not found like on the middle of the river. But now this year, because of the drought, yeah, they are found on the middle of the river, which is not a good sign.
There are always seasonal variations, and in November the Zambezi is at its lowest. But even so, those who've worked on this river all their lives are noticing changes.
The river it goes up about 3 meters high from this level where you see the water.
It's dropped quite a lot.
Yeah, it's dropped a lot, and this is the lowest month of the year. Yeah, October, November, that's these lowest months.
Have you seen it this low before? This is the lowest it's been in about 25 years, apparently.
I would say no, this is the lowest.
That you've ever seen it?
Yes, this is the lowest.
And that's had a dramatic effect in Zambia, and all who live along the river, as well as further afield.
Monthly I get paid, but I think of my mom who's at the village. Oh, they depend on farming. There is no rains, there's not enough food for the cattle, yeah, for the animals that they keep. So we are really scared. It's really affected us much.
We took to the air to get a different view.
Would all this ordinarily be covered? All of the flat parts of the rock over there would be covered by water.
The Zambezi feeds into one of the natural wonders of the world, and a low river has impacted on the Victoria Falls.
All in this dry section that's just over here. You see there's a little trickle of water there? There should be water going all the way across the Victoria Falls. Wow, that is a dramatic and sad sight. Incredible change, isn't it? It actually alters the whole view and perspective of the Victoria Falls when there's no water flowing over. Do you get scared about the impact this is having on the planet? I mean, you see it right here up close and personal. I do get very worried about it, but it's something, the water level I cannot change. I am, though, very, very worried about the future of the Victoria Falls and the supply of water. We rely very, very heavily on rainfall, and climate change is slowly changing the amount of rainfall that we have, and it's decreasing it.
The President of Zambia agrees.
Alex Crawford, Sky News. Thank you for agreeing to talk to us, sir.
In an exclusive interview, he blamed the situation squarely on climate change.
It's a serious problem, a genuine one, and I get surprised when people trivialize it and say it's not real. Probably they're living in a different world, but this world we live in Zambia, we are feeling the effects of climate change very adversely, and they're impacting on everyone. We are here as custodians and as trustees for the future. So we want to pass on the Zambezi without Vic Force. We want to pass on Africa to the future generation without the mighty Vic Force. Is that what we want? So there are practices and interventions which we can deliberately take now.
But how much responsibility do you bear yourself? And know in your State of the Nation address, you said that maybe mistakes had been made. Did we do, as a country, prepare for this adequately? Maybe not, you said.
Maybe not, and I think maybe not is the answer. We haven't done enough preparations as a country, and we are paying the price for that. But I think not all hope is lost. Well, we know now the problem. We can address it and reverse some of the effects and hopefully restore the viability of the earth and the atmosphere in which we live.
The drought has squeezed everything, making it a daily scramble to find water and food for millions in Zambia alone. Their livestock drink the same water. It's all they have. Anna is a mother of 8 and a grandmother of 13.
So, from July, we don't have water in drinking this water. So we have a big problem. If you want to, children have many difficult diseases of bilharzia. Yes.
Because of the bad water?
Because of the bad water and the stomach.
Water and the search for it dominates their lives. They're struggling because that container of water weighs 25 kilograms. Anna has to carry the water to her home more than 1 kilometre away, several times a day.
If you are giving goats, we are going 6 times. 2 containers for goats and 4 containers for drinking. If we are not washing, 4 times. Yes.
Anna and millions of other vulnerable families like hers live from hand to mouth in Zambia anyway. Changing climates makes it a daily fight for survival. It is still a magnificent sight. A visual feast, however depleted. There are a multitude of reasons why the falls have been unusually low this year. Zambia's huge dependency on hydropower means water's being diverted to provide electricity for a start. But many are convinced climate change is a real and genuine danger.
I am incredibly shocked. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, we had an estimation of 1,200 cubic meters falling over the falls every second. Within this period of a persistent drought from 2018 to 2019, we've seen a drastic reduction that's very scary, and that tells me that we're doing something wrong. As a country, we're doing something wrong as a region, and perhaps we're doing something wrong globally. And therefore, this is a call to action for us to do everything that we must to reduce the global carbon emissions to the minimum levels so that we are able to restore the Earth's natural ability to replenish itself.
The tourist numbers have been affected, with hotel occupancy at only 40% in late November, and that's hit pockets and bottom lines. They're praying for a good rainy season. The world's longest curtain of flowing water will be back in a few months. But what are the longer-term implications? They're on the move, hundreds of them, in search of food and water. Elephants can spend up to 18 hours a day grazing and drink up to 50 litres of water in one session. So they're being hunted, not to kill them in this case, but to help them live. This team from the Worldwide Fund for Nature in Zambia have been following the elephants.
The ducks are landing nicely.
After being darted and tranquilized, they're able to work with this giant animal.
Come up to that.
They can weigh up to 6 tons. The team are fitting giant collars to them. Each collar has a GPS tracking device.
Chopper made a bit of a mess, eh?
It means the elephants can be monitored and a log made of their habits and which routes they take to get to food and water.
This is important information that influences land use planning, where we're going to do infrastructure, where can we do settlements, and where we shouldn't do anything. And if it's done correctly, it will reduce human-elephant or human-wildlife conflicts in general, and allow for the free movement of wildlife between certain areas.
The elephants have been wreaking terrible damage on the environment in their quest to find food. The drought has forced them to look elsewhere, moving out of the bush, breaking out of the nature reserves and into village communities. They've trampled over crops, ruining livelihoods, as well as terrifying, injuring and killing residents. This is a way of trying to protect the animals and the communities.
In the block. Let me know when you're on. I'm on. Your hands in the way there.
Right, okay.
And you don't measure the temperature.
But the whole operation comes with risks.
Yeah, my role is basically from the helicopter to dart the elephant, and once it's down, to make sure it's breathing and still alive.
Once collared and all the data collected, the elephant's revived. They watch it from the helicopter until it's fully recovered. The average adult elephant needs about 450 kilograms of food every day. That's an awful lot of food when extreme weather has curtailed harvests and all vegetation. And their size makes them especially destructive and frightening.
When we are chasing elephants, we usually pass through here.
Mr. Zimba is the elephant troubleshooter around Livingston. He's the one they call when elephants come prowling. The mile after mile of broken fences show their path.
The fence is completely down here.
They are running away.
Mr. Zimba patrols the area, tracking the elephants down as they forage for food. His presence reassures the residents. Many of these people are the poorest in Zambia, economically and nutritionally vulnerable, and most at risk.
Buffaloes.
It's very dangerous for the human beings because you cannot stop them from moving. There's some shops here along this line. If they want to buy something, an elephant is just too close. It's easy elephant to kill someone just close here.
And
so
what do the elephants do? How do they react with you?
How they react to these animals, during night time like this, if you are crossing, going somewhere, it will just come from the pack. As it is down like this, it will start chasing you.
Chasing you?
Yeah.
Just drive.
So Mr. Zimba goes looking for them.
Yeah, they were here. Yeah, they were here.
To make sure they don't come too close or do too much damage.
They're inside here. Malume. Ziri kuti njovu. Zikabongena muno. They're just behind this office. Just here.
It's a never-ending task right now. Everyone here is desperate, and there are very slim pickings.
This is the problem for the elephant trackers, is that they move very quickly. They're very silent a lot of the time, but they're causing a lot of terror in the community.
They think they spot a small group. Tonight, his presence is keeping the elephants at bay.
Yes, but they're just behind here.
Elephant?
Yes.
Last morning is the I think is the 03 hours is came this side, and the plenty tree has broken this side.
Just behind, yes, in front.
Front, yes, front.
Yeah.
And all trees, the garden trees, removing and throwing.
They've passed through here. Let's go. There's an opening somewhere there.
And it's not just elephants who are straying into urban areas. We came across this hippo on one of Livingston's main roads. They're one of the most dangerous animals in the world, highly aggressive and unpredictable.
You know, when the tarmac is warm.
Few other regions are suffering from climate change as much as southern Zambia. Pamela does this 15 times a day, gathering water to feed seedlings in the hope she and her 6 children will eventually be able to eat. The country's been gripped by drought for 4 years now. They transport water huge distances, whatever way they can. And famine is just being kept at bay.
On the early days of where our ancestors used to live, at least it was called rain season. But now we don't know where we are going and when we shall receive.
This used to be the Maramba River, but most of its 100 kilometres had dried up when we saw it, leaving only tiny pools behind.
So yes, I mean...
And wildlife and humans fighting over the small amounts.
Crocodiles, they'll feel the pressure as well.
A teenage girl was drawing water here when she was set upon by a waiting crocodile.
And because it wasn't very deep, she managed to keep her head above water, and she fought this thing for a good 20 minutes before someone came along and basically beat it off her.
That crocodile is now here, being looked after at a centre, along with dozens of others that have been rescued. But keeping them alive is a daily challenge.
We're having to dig our pump down almost on a daily basis just to try and follow the water down.
Because there's hardly any water there at all.
It's only about 50 centimetres deep there now. So we have about 25 acres here of land. It's very riverine, and lately we found elephants being pressured into crossing over our electric fence. They you know, when they become really desperate, they just ignore the electric fence. This is elephant damage, and I basically caught the elephant trying to strip the bark off, and I came and stopped him from doing it.
Conflict between humans and wildlife is rising, and both are struggling to cope. with increasingly hostile and erratic climates. Changes in climate can be catastrophic for Zambia. Even slight temperature differences spell disaster, affecting crops, destroying lives, and hitting the poor hardest.
It's only God maybe who is going to make us survive.
The lack of rain means animals have to scavenge. There are more and more clashes between wildlife and humans, with the low water creating huge power problems and hitting the economy.
Zambia right now is facing a multiple crisis.
The lack of power has increased charcoal burning. Forests have been cleared for fuel. The country's natural resources are being lost at a terrifying pace. And Zambia is paying the price.
Look at these rocks on either side.
If something isn't done soon, we'll all perish.
The staggering Victoria Falls is affected. And that has seen a drop in tourism, one of the stalwarts of the country's economy. Zambia's treasures are shrinking amid worries if no action's taken, they could disappear entirely eventually. And climate change is being blamed.